All right, I'm going to show you how to do a Cush core installation. I saved you about 5 minutes of time showing you how to install the rim tape. So I did I believe, a pretty good job of getting the rim tape installed. One thing I did is I made sure that where the valve goes through, that I had sufficiently overlapped the rim tape enough, and that when I poked the hole through that rim tape, I did it as kind of circular and symmetric as I could with a sharp object, and then I pushed the valve through, so I shouldn't have any splinters that kind of like propagate off from that hole. So anyway, I have the rim tape done. I'd done a really good job of cleaning the rim prior to the rim tape, so it should stick very well. All right, so now I have my my Cush core, and I often say to use a like 55-gallon garbage can to do this, but I actually found it's not too bad to just kind of do it here without one. But the best thing is to get that Cush core down and use tension rather than compression. So I'm just gonna kind of work this Cush core up, and it should pop in place pretty well. All right, so I got that Cush core in place. Alrighty, and I'm just gonna kind of clean it off here so I don't have any dirt from where I'm working outside. All right. And now the secret, and actually I have a brand new Cush core and a brand new tire. I've seen some websites that recommend not using a brand new tire, but I think it's all right. And often I think that'll be the situation, is where you have a brand new tire and brand new Cush core. But you want to get the Cush core installed inside the tire. And I did find, and I've learned a little bit over the last week, because I am kind of new to this, that it helps to leave the tire out, so the tire can kind of heat up in the sun and expand as much as possible. So you want to get the wheel with the tire, the wheel with the Cush core inside the tire. And this isn't too bad. This is actually kind of the easy step. All right, so I did that. I got the Cush core that's on the wheel inside the tire. All right, now I'm going to work on one edge. And so one thing you want to do, and this is kind of I think a really good recommendation I learned, is you want to align the markings ideally kind of with the valve, because then you can very easily figure out where your valve is if you need to. And so I did that. I aligned my markings with the valve, and I'm going to work on one side. So one of the secrets, so you're going to do one side, and then you're going to flip over and do the other side. So one of the secrets is to make sure you're getting the bead of the tire kind of deep and underneath that Cush core. So I'm going to really kind of work it on this side so I can get that bead down deep and seated as best I can. And I'm just kind of rolling it as I go. And I'm kind of trying to get it a little bit symmetric on both sides of my valve. All right. I'm just kind of working around here. Flip over to this side and get it, and you'll probably get about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way done, and now it's really going to start getting tough. All right, and so here's where it kind of helps to take some soapy water spray and spray it. And one of the things I have is I have one of Cush core's little tools, and this makes it kind of nice. So I'll just go back a little ways from where I actually have the tire seated. And now I'm going to put this little tool right here. And actually it has some little, I kind of figured this out after the fact, but it has some little slots, so you can get those slots kind of backed up against one of the spokes, and then it won't move on you. And then I tighten it. So now what's going to happen is I work on this part. It's not going to continue to open up on that part. So it's kind of a neat little tool. All right, lots of soapy water. You can be pretty liberal with that. All right, and I guess you could use any kind of tire tool. I went with the Cush core tool. What I liked about it is it's a kind of a plastic. It's less likely to do damage. They do say be careful because you don't want it to damage your rim tape. So ideally, you're not going to do it where this edge kind of gouges down into the rim tape. But I've seen maybe a few folks that have said that's not as big a deal if you're careful. So I do find it's a little easier to grip that rim if you're using it the way they don't recommend. All right, so I'm just going to kind of work my way around. And honestly, this is the hardest part of this. And as I said earlier, it does kind of help if you've had your tire sitting out in the sun, so it has expanded as much as possible. And I am thinking about making sure that I'm not going too far down that the edge of the rim, so that I don't want to damage my rim tape. Actually, it's going pretty well here. It is kind of a warm day here. I'm in somewhat Southern California. All right, so I got the one side installed. All right, so now I'm going to take this Cush core tool and I'm going to remove it. So I got the one side installed, so progress. So I'm going to start again back where my valve is, okay? And before I do that, I'm going to put a bunch of soapy water. All right, and now I'm going to roll it. I definitely want to make sure that my tire bead is seated. All right. I find getting started is the hardest part here. All right, so I got it seated, or started at least. All right, now I'm just gonna work my way around. And again, I'll probably get about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way. And that's when it's gonna get tough on me. All right, and somewhere right around here, I think this is a good time. I'm gonna use that little tool again. This thing's really pretty neat. Just a little kind of angle that clips in to the rim. So I'll go back just a little ways to where I have a really good seated tire. I'll install this little guy. I'll back it up to the spoke, tighten it up, and now my tire won't come out of the rim past that point. So that's kind of nice. All right. So use a little more soap. And I'm just gonna, you can do a lot of this just with your fingers. I find you don't have to use that tool till the very end. And the soapy water really does help. All right. So back to the Cush core tool. All right. Whew. Okay. And you don't want to bite off too much at a time or it gets a little tougher. So I probably go at most about 2 spokes at a time. Probably 1 spoke's a little better. All right. And it's going pretty well. And here we go. All right. I got it. All right. So I will take this little tool out. And there we go. All right. So that's good. So now I will grab my valve tool here to remove the valve. Because I'm going to put the sealant in. And what I've kind of learned is with brand new Cush core, you're going to want probably the equivalent of 1 to 2 of these little containers. I had actually kind of messed up earlier, and so my Cush core already had a nice layer of the stand sealant on it, so I'm probably okay here with just 1 of these. And I ended up salvaging a little bit from the mess up before, so I put it in here. Actually didn't get very much. And now you do want to, if you haven't used it in a while, you do want to shake up the stands, because or whatever sealant you're using, because it does kind of settle. And you can use one of the injector tools. I actually found these little containers work really well. and they're super simple, and I often keep one in my bike kit that I take to the trail. All right, so I just stick it in the valve here and just kind of squeeze it in. And the Cush core valves are kind of unique because they're a little different. They have ports on the side because that Cush core is going to kind of butt up against the end of the valve, and so it's easy for the sealant to come out. And I'm just going to put a little more in there. It never hurts. So maybe half a container full. Stuff's expensive, so I do try to put the lid on when I'm not using it so I don't knock it over. All right, I'll put one more in. And I actually find it's a little easier with the Cush core that the sealant's not leaking out, because the Cush core kind of gives you a little bit of space, and so that sealant's gonna move around the Cush core to the bottom of the tire. And it's one of the ways I actually think this is, so I still have a little bit left in there. All right, you can hear that empty sound. All right, I'm going to reinstall my valve here. Okay, hand tight. Okay, and I'm going to open up that valve. And so one of the things I find really helpful when you're first seating a new tire is lots of soapy water. And I put a little bit on the stem, lots of soapy water. All right, and my compressor already has some air in it, so here we go. And you'll, one of the nice things is that pop you're gonna hear, right? There you go. That's the sound I was looking for. All right, and so now I'm gonna tighten this back up here. Everything's looking good. I'm not seeing too many leaks. And I like to do a couple of nice pounds like that. And you know, the soapy water is nice because you do a spray around and you will see if you have any leaks. And it doesn't look like I have any leaks. Maybe a little bit around the valve. That's the nice thing, is that stands is gonna seal it, you know, if there's just a little bit of a leak. And you want to put a little more pressure in at the beginning because you just want to make sure that tire stays seated. And then later, I mean, one of the benefits, of course, with Cush core is you can run a lower pressure. All right. So that's about it. And of course, with the soapy water, it allows you to kind of clean the tire and get it all good. So I hope that was helpful. I'm excited. I've actually never rode on Cush core before, so tomorrow's going to be my maiden voyage. So hope it goes well. Thanks.